Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week. Am I saying it too fast at this point? From the 19th of July to the 26th of July. I just wanted to start the digest by pointing you all to an installment of Pissed Pirates that we got on the Pissed Pirates channel. You should go check it out. This came out this week. It's in a regular schedule, so I figure it's okay to plug it every, when a new one comes out. I didn't do the second one, but this is the third installment of this. Although this one does get a little more spoilery because we're talking about specifics about Fishman Island and then speculating on some stuff that happened in like the latest chapters, which is a thing that I do, but I don't try to do it that often. There's a really good interview with Oda and Aoyama that half of it came out this past week, and then the other half should be coming out this week because they're splitting it between the two different magazines, which is just such a big deal that like an author from Shonen Jump is having an interview with an author from Sunday, like competing magazines, and then their characters are even sharing the covers. So it's like Luffy and Amuro from Conan on the Jump cover, and then Conan and Zoro on the Sunday cover, which is really cool. And anyway, that stuff that happened. But anyway, I want you to check out Piss Pirates. It's a good time. I enjoy it. I'm only a minute in. Why am I exhausted? I think it's because I keep smiling, and smiling makes me exhausted. That's spooky. No. First up, a video that I thought was not good. I hate to do it to him. I was just like, what is this? And I just kept like kind of watching in confusion. And it's a Kato video, how to save your favorite manga. And I was figuring it's sort of targeting towards this area of like, the Jump cancellations and how to support your favorite and keep it from not getting canceled. But I mean, not to answer the thing for him, the thing is about this subject matter is that it's unfortunately very hard to pin anything down. I think Eyepatch Wolf has obviously ran into this sort of thing for the most of the time when he does his Shonen Jump current state of Shonen Jump videos, trying to use as much actual data as possible, but it ends up going into speculation anyway and kind of personal opinion. And I think Kato very squarely falls into that here, of just kind of uses it as an excuse to be like, man, I wish MASH will get canceled. Man, whose idea was it to approve PPPPPPP or whatever? It kind of doesn't really go that far further than that in terms of like explaining their justification for it, which is kind of shitting on these, and it's like, I like this one and this shouldn't get canceled and blah blah blah. And I don't know, it just felt weirdly off the cuff and not thought out that much, and it didn't have like what felt like a point at the end, or at least that was kind of I had that vibe of, it didn't have that constructive through line, I guess. It was kind of just going through the series that are publishing in Jump kind of sporadically, and I didn't feel like that much substantiveness from you talking about each one and their current status of each one. Like, if you're reading all of them, right, I wouldn't want just kind of a flaccid kind of review of these stories. I'd want to have an idea of the structure and sort of just like, where could it be going? Not even just thematically or something, of like what specifically could happen, but like One Piece, for example. I don't even know if you mentioned that it's on its final arc. It just came off of a month-long hiatus, and Oda's confirming that like 3 years. I got about 3 years roughly, and this is it. We're going to start to follow the dominoes and stuff. And like knowing that, I think would be substantive and valuable, because those people who have been waiting for One Piece to be finished this might be a perfect time to jump in, to get started on it. Things like that. Or like, I thought I had heard that Mashal and maybe Black Clover or something had been looking into going into their final arc and stuff like that. I just would have wanted more concrete situations and examples of this, or like, I don't know, instead of just being like up to chapter 20 or something, hope it doesn't get axed. You know what I mean? I just didn't get that much substantiveness from this video. and it was weird. It didn't have that much of a presentation to it either, which I think you guys are normally pretty on top of. Like there was no music and kind of weird pauses and stuff that like could have been cut down a little bit better, and the visual editing is kind of okay. Like you're showing the just bare amount sort of thing, but nothing in the way that's visually engaging. So it was just kind of weird. I know you guys can make better than this. So I don't know what that was. It's just I'm just like, and I had to like point that one out and like, what about our good video last week or the week before and stuff like that. I know it really be like that sometimes with Digest, because it's like I choose these based on what I'm interested in terms of clicking on with a title, thumbnail, and the user. If it's like, oh, this person hasn't uploaded in a while and something like that, right? And I was interested in how to save your favorite manga and talking about Shonen Jump because I've been grown to be very interested in this sort of subject. It's kind of a big subject that I'm be tackling hopefully in my Naruto video, which is I'm so sorry. It's literally been half a year that I've even started recording it because I keep writing and not writing it because I do other things anyway. But like, and even just reading and watching a lot of these series, so I am interested in this subject, and it didn't work for me, and I just wanted to talk about that constructively. Hopefully, if it came off constructive, hopefully, I don't know. But yeah, wasn't a fan of it, unfortunately. Okay, time for some videos I thought were decent. Pretty good. I'm gonna see if I make this kind of a shorter digest. Well, let's find out. English, Ojamaja Doremi reanimated from RAMDARAM, and a couple people like linked this my way, and I appreciate that. I'm a big Doremi fan, of course. And it's pretty good. It's for reanimated, I'm familiar with the subject and stuff, and I think they can come out like really incredible sometimes. This one's okay. I think the only thing the two things that kind of make it's three things that kind of make it weird for me. The first thing is that it doesn't adapt the whole episode. It's just 8 minutes of one, and it's abridged, like very clearly abridged of one of the Moto episodes, and it just kind of ends very unceremoniously. Like it's the end of a scene, I guess, but that's it. And it was strange. Like if you were to do like an abridged version of the episode, sure, that's a pretty economic choice. That's interesting. But like you don't even have a proper ending for it, It was just sort of a weird assortment. It was just kind of a weird choice in that way in terms of the I guess pacing. I don't know. The construction of the reanimated. The second thing that was just kind of like, it's obviously not a big deal. It's that's just it's just a me thing, but I'm so used to the Japanese audio, and so hearing it in the Korean audio kind of gives a disconnect to me because I'm already not watching the animation. It's one thing to watch like an anime with a dub or something, and it's like, well, at least it's the but if it's reanimated and it's a dub that I'm not used to, it's like there's 2 steps removed from it now, and I'm just kind of like I don't know, it was just kind of strange to me, I guess. What was the other third thing that was just it was kind of interesting that stuck out to me, and I guess it's something that just like it's something about the reanimated format that I like that doesn't quite show up in this one. Is just it's a constantly new art style. There's obviously no rule book for this. But like what the tradition is, and what I'm kind of familiar with, is each animator gets one scene and maybe a shot or two or something. I accidentally bumped my recording and stopped it. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah. The reanimated format, it's like one scene per animator, and then it's a new animator pretty much every time. This one, they made the choice to kind of have a handful of animators, which is fine. It's good, But then they keep bouncing back and forth between different styles and different animations, and I liked all of them for sure. They were all really cute or interestingly designed, a good take on some stuff, right, and some really good shots and stuff. It wasn't that any of it was bad or a mixed bag. It was just sort of like teetered me off my expectations because we go back to a style we've seen before and back and there was no reliable pattern to anything. If it was like a consistency like, okay, it's this animator, then this animator, and they're just kind of passing the baton back and forth, like in a circle, then that'd be one thing. But it just felt very random and arbitrary almost of like what scenes were being animated in which style. That kind of pulled me out of the experience, and I couldn't as fully appreciate the video, I guess. That was just something that was weird that threw me off personally. And that's probably the case in other reanimateds, and it's not like an unusual thing, I guess. But from the reanimateds that I've seen, usually I like seeing that it's like a completely different one every time, and that's the fun of it, is the anticipation of what the next style is going to be. Also, there's some of these clips, like some shots where like the shot just is way too short to do anything with it. Like they just kind of goes by. Whereas like you can at least soak in a decent chunk, maybe 15 seconds, versus like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, or something like. It's like, hey, come on. I know this is demanding. Obviously, this is a fan project, reanimated. You know, I get it. But like that was just something that just, all those three things combined kind of took the wind out of my sails for me. As much as I love seeing an Ojamaja Doremi reanimated, anything is just really cool and exciting and fun. But yeah, there were some things that I kind of took away from it. I know it was a mostly negative sort of thing, but yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Kor's back. This anime is something different, and he's talking about Girl from the Other Side, I believe, the full feature film. I've only seen the short. I really like the short. I've also seen at least one of the animated shorts that one of the people behind this have done. Crazy for It. I love Crazy for It. Holy shit. But I really like Kor's overall points with, like, you know, it's really good. It just has, let me give you all my constructed criticisms and things like that, and that's kind of the bulk of it. But then still having enough balance of like gushing about how good the what is there, you know. But I really like the analogy of like stepping into a shallow pool and it's like, yeah, I guess I'm wet. It's kind of expecting more though. Yeah, I totally get that. I also like the presentation format for this one. I mean, he's done this sort of thing before, but not in a, I mean, probably in other videos like that. I just don't remember if it's recent, but like the heavy use of on-camera presentation, and also like kind of cutting to this classic shot, like that one shot that he has in one of his videos where he's geeking out about something for the 3DS, like kind of having that energy for describing the story, and he's like leaning this way and kind of talking at what's being shown in the side of the screen. I think it was a good format. But then him being on screen, like on camera for most of it, he was able to, I imagine that makes it a much easier turnaround, all things considered. And but then he's also able to kind of supplement that with it not being like completely, I wouldn't say cheap or cost effective or anything. Like, there's no cost ultimately to this sort of thing, but I'm just saying in terms of like effort wise of making the video, he's able to balance the time that he saves with doing on-screen presence. He's able to balance that with some little brief clips of animation that he does in the video, and that gives a nice variety. So then you have this kind of three-pronged animation, live action thing you're talking about. Those three kind of bouncing the three of them. I gave it a lot of visual variety and made it very interesting. Comfy video. I enjoyed it. It's a nice time. Great job. Yeah, glad to see you back in the saddle. Even though you're technically not out of, you haven't left the saddle. You've just been riding, spilling the milk for a while. But yeah, it was good seeing that. Yeah, okay. And then yeah, that's it for decent. I'm gonna go with top of the best videos of the week. Ones I enjoyed. They're great. It's a good time. There's really not a distinction at this point. I think it's like the ones I have some points of critique and the ones I just like. Full blast. Mathwiz, Grandma Half Changed Me. This came out a couple weeks ago, but I thought I'd give her due. She hasn't, posted a video in a while, and this one got unceremoniously removed days after it uploaded. So I wanted to plug it and talk about it and appreciate it. It was a really fun video. I really liked the amount of detail that was gone. It was reflected a lot in her threads with that she would talk about Rama all the time on Twitter, and that I was able to follow, and that was very entertaining. But able to get that experience in a video form, I think, was really nice. There was just sort of this good structure about it, and talking about the love polyhedrons in a way that didn't feel cliche, in a way that just like makes sense, I guess, and or just kind of engaging in a way that's fresh, I suppose. But the real meat was just like, you know, relating it to it as a trans anime, and through her experience with it, and going through some introspective personal moments and stuff, nothing too TMI or whatever, but like I really liked related, like even like the stuff that's kind of complicated and messy and problematic perhaps. I like the point that she makes where it's like, you know, but I still saw myself in these episodes, or I still took some things away and had things for me to think about, even though they were yikesy or dated or whatever. That doesn't mean you can completely write them off and just try to ignore or whatever. There's actually something to be thought provoking and interesting about those episodes, despite the weirdness about them, right? I really like those points. I don't know if that's putting words in your mouth or not, but yeah, I that's something I took away from it. Pretty minimalist in terms of the style and presentation here, the clips and stuff like that, but I think there was all very well documented. It didn't feel like you were taking just from like one episode. Not that I would know. I haven't seen Ranma half, surprisingly. I've only seen Maison and Urusei Yatsura from Rumiko Takahashi's stuff, but I am interested in Ranma, especially after your threads and after this video, I think. I was turned off of Ranma because of what I would hear about its animation quality and just sort of like it's, well, not animation quality as much as just the story stuff, where, you know, it'd be adapting some stuff and the animation was like incredible, and then it got restarted, it got canceled kind of early, and then it restarted, and it's not as good anymore, you know. And it got kind of overly played out, I suppose, but doesn't sound like there's much of a problem in that regard here. So you've definitely rekindled my interest in watching this show for sure. Yeah, I just really liked the vid. It was a nice time. Really enjoyed it. I really appreciated Fukuchi Twins uploading this full unedited interview that she had with Super Eye Patch Wolf for his video on influencer courses are garbage. That was really exciting. It was really exciting to see her in that video, you know? It's like, oh, hey, wow. But the full interview is very worth a watch, I think. Both of them get very kind of vulnerable and honest about their experiences with YouTube and their outlooks on it, and both share very similar sentiments that I have of just like, YouTube is really a platform where if you find yourself really enjoying making videos, you should make videos, and this is the kind of the ideal place to share those things. But in terms of being an influencer and a social media presence, you kind of have to like accept what comes, I guess. And if you get good success, then it's like, heck yeah. But just realize, no matter how much you get, it's never going to be enough, and you're always going to have that feeling of doubt, inadequacy, shittiness, no matter your size, you know, no matter your success. And they're always like, oh, I wish to even just have 100,000 subscribers. That's not even going to be enough. You'd be like, what now? You know what I mean? It's really interesting, and a good cautionary sort of thing. I think they have good banter with each other, but it's just like really respectful and again, open and honest and interesting. But I just listened to the whole thing very captivatingly, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely please check this out, and thank you again for making this a public thing. You didn't have to, but it's really interesting. Really enjoy it. Now I'll admit, these next two videos were last minute additions. They weren't something I clicked on right away, but sometimes when I don't have too many digest videos, I scroll back down and try to look a little closer at the videos that could be interesting, you know, to try to pad it out. And these two ended up being fantastic, like really, really good. I'm glad I clicked on them. First one's from Awdii. I tried making a manga in 24 hours and failed. It's bad. But you know, it's in regards to the final product, I think it's kind of I think it was charming. It was actually really fun. Because it kind of had there's that thing that I don't know if you really mentioned it in the video, but it kind of came off this was like, do what you know, or you kind of do it, like write something about things that you're passionate about. Like if Kishimoto loves ninjas,
you're gonna make a manga about ninjas, you know. And in terms of that list that you wrote a ton of ideas down, you picked one about being a social media influencer or being a streamer or something, or content creator basically. And that's, you know, because you yourself are a content creator and you're making this video for content, like the idea of it, right? Of making this thing in 24 hours. And I like how candid and honest you are of how it does not go the way you want it to go, and you feel kind of like a failure because you like rented a bunch of this stuff and had planned this for a week, and then when the time came, it didn't manifest in the way you wanted it to, and it wasn't as fulfilling, I suppose, maybe. But then, like, you know, getting the right motivation and finishing it, regardless of that, like you actually you tried and actually made something. And I really like the kind of the end result of you not just kind of talking about it as much as you are. The way you present it is you show it to your Discord friends, which are also, some of them at least, are fellow content creators, and kind of reacting to it and stuff. Although I think it would have been best if you didn't need to explain, oh, this part is when this happens and this is like a year later, or you know what I mean. It's like, no, just let it speak for itself, man. It's good. And it's funny, one person mentioned that it has Fujimoto vibes, because it definitely does. It definitely has just like the very frank, plain dialogue, and reaction that's just like, you know, when it kind of gave me that vibe almost, and sort of kind of goes twisted and dark almost towards the end. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but like, I just like your journey with it too, and it reminded me of the video that I made. That's the latest one on my main channel about Ninku. The author of that one talks about how he spent too much time planning and not enough time drawing the manga, and that's kind of how it ended up looking that way. And so it's like, it's not really for a lack of drawing talent. I would say it's the same in your case, where you did a lot of planning. You even kind of, in 24 hours, that includes having what you didn't have any idea what you would even draw, you know. And of course that's going to take a third of the day, if not more, you know. And I think it's interesting, you kind of show it as like, wow, I really underestimated how much time this sort of thing actually takes. You think about Fujimoto going from Chainsaw Man Part 1 to Part 2, he probably did something along the lines throughout that time, along with writing the one-shots, where obviously he's chilling a lot, but he's probably doing all that planning. He's just like, here's the span of time that I want to be publishing this, or at least this is how far ahead I want to plan. This is generally what I want to have happen. Here are the characters. Let me design some of them. Let me just, you know, he's detailing it out. And then the actual gauntlet is when he's going and storyboarding and executing the plan that he made. But then, so like, this includes the plan, you know? So it makes sense that took that much amount of time. And then you ended up kind of pacing it in such a way that all of your drawing time happened while you're burning the midnight oil, and kind of got procrastinated a little bit. I like that you were honest about that you procrastinated and did some other stuff and had errands to run and stuff like that. And I like that. But I like that you were able to film all of that and be honest about the day and stuff. And, oh, this audio is really bad, and things like that. Like, it was fun. And so it was, and obviously, I also like the kind of general touches you're making, kind of making like a very cutting edge editing style with the text, the typography, and kind of the stock footage you're using, and some of the zoom lenses and things. The polish on the video looks kind of nice, even though I feel like the content and the presentation and like knowing your size and stuff, I'm just like, all right, you're kind of putting on airs with these effects, you know. I was getting that vibe, and that's not a bad thing, you know. That is an appealing thing. I'm not trying to be, you know, just post the image, you know, just be minimalist as possible. I'm like, no, I like the bells and whistles a lot, but there's something about that where it's just something I kind of cut through that and see that. But I think the content itself was still able to shine really well. Yeah, I enjoyed the video. It was a good time. And lastly, yeah, it's a short digest. Sorry. It's also like a day for patrons. It's like a day late, and it's because I worked really hard, and then was like, look, Monday I'm going to rest and eat and not do anything, including, well, And I was like, well, what would I do? I'll watch One Piece. So I just watched all of the One Piece that I had this week yesterday. But recording today, it's a good time. We're making good time here. Sorry. Anyway, the last video I wanted to talk about is Plum in Your Back, scene 2019 versus 2001. And you wouldn't know that it's Fruits Basket unless it's by like the thumbnail, and even then it doesn't say Fruits Basket on it, so you'd have to know this is Fruits. I guess you don't have to know, but I mean, not doing a great. It's not a great title thumb combo in my opinion. That's why I almost didn't click on it, and then like I kept scrolling down. I'm like, oh, there's a comparison with Fruits Basket. That's interesting because I kind of like the underdog narrative of like 2019 is the brotherhood of Fruits Basket, right? Compared to the 2001 version, it's the complete adaptation and the author is involved, right? But I was getting some tea that it doesn't have that auteur kind of like polish, But 2001, at least it's really rough around the edges. It's not quite what the manga was like, but it has the soul and sort of an endearing thing that makes it your favorite. So this is by Mimiyori, and she's obviously partial to the 2001 series, and I just like that because it's an underdog pick. And I have seen 2001 years ago. Oh my god, it's like one of the first I saw a long time ago. Not like 03 or something, but like a while ago, like 2013, 2012 or something like that. But I haven't seen 2019's, and I just had that suspicion that Akitaro Daichi, he has the sauce. He has the something. He knows what he's doing. And I really like the comparison here. I would say the one note that I have that I would have probably preferred, I have something similar to this in, not between two anime and the manga, but I mean, I've probably done this I don't know if I've done this in another video or not, like officially. But in terms of a comparison thing, I do something similar with my Naruto video, and what my choice was sort of just like go through the scene as it and then do the comparison as I go. Whereas here, you kind of just analyze the 2001 scene and break it down and talk about it, and then you talk about 2019 while comparing it to 2001 and kind of repeating yourself a couple of times and having to show things again. It's like, in case you forgot, this is what happens in 2001 and stuff like that. It wasn't the most efficient version of this video, I think. I do think if you were able to give a bird's eye view, like you can give an overview of what the scene's going to be, like here's the plot beats at the beginning for the audience who hasn't seen this or hasn't seen it in a while to understand. But then you go through it very scene by little bit by bit. So basically the second half of the video almost, kind of combining the points that you made in the 2001 part. You know what I mean? I do think it could have been a little more effective and efficient. But the points that are here are really interesting. I agree with pretty much all of them, really, in terms of like what you're showing versus how you're explaining it. I'm like, oh yeah, I totally prefer that version, 2001's, because like kind of almost every single choice that 2001 makes is better than the 2019 one. And again, it might be a bias. It's she admits it's a bias, but I also think it's a bit of a bias on my part because I'm an underdog fan and I'm familiar with Akitaro Daichi's work, and I'm kind of rooting for it in that way. But yeah, no, I just really enjoy it. I thought it was a good idea to choose a particular scene, like your favorite scene. I thought that was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed this this installment here. I'm not saying that you can do this for like all of it, but like this video was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a good time. And I'm sorry I repeated myself a ton at the end of like every one of those videos. I enjoyed it. Good time. Yeah, okay, we know shapes. Wait, what can I do? I've done this a little while now. It's okay. You guys are that'll be doing for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.